Welcome to aminacademy.com. Let us do human anatomy and physiology, in that the human cells. Human body develops from a single cell called the zygote, which results from the fusion of the ovum, that is female egg cell, and the spermatozoon, male sex cells. Cell division follows, and as the fetus grows, cells with different structural and functional specializations develop, all with the same genetic makeup as the zygote. Individual cells are too small to be seen with the naked eye. However, they can be seen when thin slices of tissues are stained in the laboratory and magnified using microscope. A cell consists of a plasma membrane enclosing a number of organelles suspended in a watery fluid called cytosol. Now we'll continue the reading. Got this. This is a human cell. Human cells are the basic building blocks of the human body, providing structure, nutrients, and energy. They also contain the body hereditary material. Types of human cells. Skin cells. These are make up the epidermis, the outer layer of skin. They include keratinocytes, melanocytes, Langerhans cells, and Merkel cells, white blood cells, also known as leukocytes. These cells protect the body from illness and disease. Nerve cells, also known as neurons. These cells send signals between the brain, spinal cord, and other organs. Blood cells. These cells include red blood cells, part of human cells. Cell membrane surrounds the cell nucleus, contain the cell's DNA. Cytoplasm is jelly-like fluid that surrounds the nucleus. Cytoskeleton, a network of fibers that gives a cell its shape and helps it move. Endoplasmic reticulum, and organelle that helps process molecules created by the cell. The number of cells in the human body. Average adult male has around 36 trillion cells. The average adult female has 28 trillion cells. A 10-year-old old child has around 17 trillion cells. The human cell's structure and its function. Human cells have a flexible membrane that surrounds water-based fluid called cytoplasm. The cytoplasm contains organelles, which are tiny organs that perform specific functions. First, we'll talk about cell membrane, a selectively permeable membrane that controls what goes in and out of the cell. Nucleus, the cell's control center which contains the cell's DNA. Mitochondria, the organelle that produces energy for the cell. Endoplasmic reticulum, the organelles that produces proteins and lipids and detoxifies the cell. Functions, structure and support. Cells provide a structure for the body. Growth, cells multiply to grow tissues in complex organisms like humans. Energy production, cells convert nutrients from food into energy. Metabolism, cells perform metabolic functions. Reproduction, cells contain the genetic information needed for reproduction. Transport, cells transport substances in and out of the cell. These are many different types of cells in the human body, including blood cells, muscle cells, skin cells, nerve cells, and more. Next one, we talk plasma membrane. What is plasma membrane? Plasma membrane consists of two layers of phospholipids with protein and sugars embedded in them. In addition to phospholipids, the lipid cholesterol is also present. The phospholipids molecules have a head which is electrically charged and hydrophilic, meaning water loving, and tail which has no charge and is hydrophobic, meaning water hating. The phospholipid bilayer is arranged like a sandwich with the hydrophilic heads aligned on the outer surface of the membrane and the hydrophobic tails forming a central water repelling layer. These differences influence the transfer of substances across the membrane. These are the cell membrane. Plasma membrane, also known as the cell membrane, is a semi-permeable barrier that surrounds the cells and then controls what enters and exits it. It's made up of lipid and proteins, and its main structure is phospholipid bilayer. Now, cell membrane structure. The plasma membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer, which is double layer of phospholipids. The phospholipids have a polar head group and two hydrophobic tails. The plasma membrane also contains cholesterol, glycolipids, and proteins. The proteins in the plasma membrane include glycoproteins and lipid proteins. The carbohydrates in the plasma membrane are linked to the protein and lipids, forming a glycolysis on the outside of the cell. Its function. The plasma membrane protects the cell from its environment. It regulates the transport of materials into the out of the cell. It provides structural support for the cell. It allows the cell to interact with other cells and its environment. Importance. The plasma membrane's integrity is vital for cell function and survival. The plasma membrane's architecture and positions varies to protect the cell from the injury. Next, what is cell nucleus? All body cells have a nucleus with the exemption of major erythrocytes, that red blood cells. That means red blood cells have no nucleus. Skeletal muscle fibers and some other cells contain several nuclei. The nucleus is the largest organelle and is contained within the nuclear envelope. A membrane similar to the plasma membrane but with tiny pores through which some substances can pass between it and the cytoplasm. The nucleus contains the body's genetic material in the form of deoxyribonucleic acid, that is DNA. This directs all its metabolic activities. In a non-dividing cell's DNA is present as a fine network of threads called chromatin. But when the cell prepares to divide, the chromatin forms distinct structure called chromosomes. A related substance, ribonucleic acid RNA, is also found in the nucleus. There are different types of RNA, not all found in the nucleus, but which are in general involved in protein synthesis. Within the nucleus is a roughly spherical structure called the nucleus, which is involved in synthesis, that is manufacture and assembly of the components of the ribosomes. The cell nucleus of a human cell is the organelle that contain the cell's DNA and chromosomes, which encode its genetic material. It's a control center of the cell, responsible for regulating gene expressions, DNA replication, and RNA processing. Our structure: the nucleus is the largest organelle in most cells. It's located in the center of the cell, surrounded by a membrane called the nuclear envelope. The nuclear envelope has pores that allow nucleus to pass in out of the nucleus. The nucleus is made up of chromatin, which is a network of DNA and proteins. The function: nucleus protects the cell's genetic information. It's responsible for DNA replication, transcription, and RNA processing. The nucleus regulates gene expression by separating the genome from the cytoplasm. It also plays a role in coordinating the cell's architecture. Significance: the nucleus is the main feature that distinguishes eukaryotic cells like humans from prokaryotic cells like bacteria. The nucleus is essential for the duplication of genetic materials and the transcription of the genetic code. So far, we discussed something about human cells. We will continue in next videos further details of human cells. We have done. Please subscribe our YouTube channel.